Hey everybody, Mikeycat Outdoors here. So what are we doing today? Well, I got a snow blizzard out here and we're lounging around in a Seek Outside 4-man sil nylon teepee. So let's check it out. Ooh, doggy. Oh yeah. It'll be about as that sucker gonna get. So MSR groundhogs are not working worth a dang. Whew. It's been tough work trying to get this thing up. Fighting the wind, fighting the snow. Trying to get a straight pitch. Hasn't been working too great. The tent tried to blow away earlier. And little MSR groundhog stakes didn't want to hold into the ground very well. I switched out to some cyclone stakes, which have a kind of a corkscrew pattern to them. Working a little better, but it's still a bad spot on the tent here where it's not pulling out right. So I might have to reset the pitch later once I get the tent warmed up, get things settled out a little better. So I'm setting my stakes with the MSR, Mountain Safety Research, little aluminum hammer. Works pretty well for getting stakes in and out. I got my little guy lines. I put 4 of them up on the tent just to help keep it from blowing away in the middle of the night. Whew. Shangri-La. Well, everybody, hanging out here in the 4-man teepee, and I got the wood stove going a little bit. It's warming up a little bit of smoke coming off of my wood. Got some scraps a few years ago at a sawmill. Some of them I think were treated with creosote and other junk in them because they stink. But it's a pretty good fire starting up. There's a lot of wind. Had a lot of problems setting this tent up earlier today. Came out, took a shovel in my foot, and cleared away a fairly decent sized area, and tried to set stuff up first time with the regular MSR groundhog stakes, little Y-shaped ones. And Seek Outside has her own Y-shaped stakes, kind of come with the tent. Threw a few extra of my own in there with it. But yeah, they they did not hold for the darn in the wind, in the snowy ground. So I came back out with some of those cyclone stakes that are about a foot long in spiral. They held a little better, but there's some other stakes out there that you can get that held even better than that. But yeah, took a little bit. The pitch is so-so, but now the tent's warming up. It seems to be straightening out a little better. So nylon's kind of weird when it gets cold or wet. It sags in a little bit, and sometimes the bottoms just don't want to set right. Yeah, right now with the stove warming stuff up, it's getting a little better looking in here than it was. So yeah, I've been keeping warm out here in the cold, blustery winds. Layered up a little bit. I had 3 hat layers and several coat layers. So I started off, can't really see it, but I got a black little Woolrich merino wool base layer. I've also got REI and Icebreaker, whatever other brands, whatever I can get the cheapest. On top of that, I got this kind of bluish looking alpaca wool Appalachian Gear Company hoodie. These suckers are hard to get. I managed to get one finally after like waiting around for dang near a year. So I've had this for a little bit, and got another one I'm getting in like a brown walnut color. But they're warm. They stretch a little bit. Only bad thing is when you wash them, they stink like an alpaca. On top of that, I got a North Face thermal ball little jacket, a little synthetic insulation. And I got a cheap little Eddie Bauer down coat on top of that. And then I got a little REI windbreaker / rain jacket. So this one's a 3-layer Gore-Tex, so that way if there's any wind, I just keep that from taking the heat away from me. As far as my head layers, I've got my Appalachian Gear Company alpaca wool top here, and usually under that, ooh, man, smoke is burning my eyes. I'm gonna have to vent this tent out soon. I got a minus 33 brand heavyweight expedition grade merino wool balaclava. It's balaclava, not baklava. If you want baklava, you go to a Greek restaurant and you get that. But this is a balaclava. I teased my wife about that.
Here's a list of our demands. We want to be taken to Syria, Damascus, and then we're going to go to Tehran. Aye, to America.
Just kidding. And I also have the hoodie for the little hoodie top that I got. And the jacket has one too, which I could put on if I really wanted, but usually I don't. So yeah, I mean, if I get a little warm, I just start unzipping the layers, and yeah, I was more than toasty enough out here and all this. But whenever you're sitting still somewhere and you aren't moving, that's when it's going to get you a little bit. As for my bottom layers, I've got a pair of merino wool tights on, and that's over my regular underwear, of course. And then I got a little fleece insulated pair of Eddie Bauer pants. These are black ones. I also got khaki ones, but these are nice and warm. You pick them up on sale sometimes for maybe $50, but you know, I wouldn't spend $100 if they try to full price you on them. So you get them for $50, you're doing all right. Just got a couple pairs of them and does the job. My wife likes them too. She got a couple of them for Christmas last year. And then my footwear, I won't really show you, but got my rubber boots. They got an insulated liner in them. And then I got some merino wool socks inside of there. So my feet, yeah, when I'm trudging through the snow and it's covered up, it'll feel the cold a little bit. I do have some pack boots that I have that are warmer than these, but they're not as tall and they're not waterproof totally. So sometimes I just wear these rubber ones because they're good enough. If I'm going to do something like out somewhere far away, I'm going to bring the pack boots, more likely. I'd eventually like to get some mucklucks, but pricey. So I can get these cheap boots at Tractor Supply for $50 or something, you know, compared to spending $200-300 for real fancy stuff. You know, I didn't buy the Sorels. I didn't buy anything real pricey, but yeah, I think these ones somewhere, and they say Itascas. I have no idea how much they really were, but they weren't that bad when I got them at the time. And had a couple pairs of them. One of them sadly got a hole in them, and that was before Flex Seal was a thing. So tried to patch them. They didn't want to patch, but now that Flex Seal's around, my daughter ran into that recently with one of her boots. Had a slash in it. Water was coming in on one of her hikes, and had some Flex Seal tape. Sealed it right up. Held pretty good. 2 layers of it, so let that be a lesson. You don't have to throw stuff away. So there's my little seat that I'm using at the moment. Keeps me off the ground, keeps me a little bit warmer. So to paraphrase Ben Franklin, firewood is one of those things that he says will warm you twice. I say it'll warm you 3 times. Once when you cut it, second time when you sit on it as a chair, if it's not frozen, the third time when you burn it. So one other piece of gear I will say I do like are these Possum Down gloves. So the type of possum that it's made out of is actually a furry animal over in New Zealand, some invasive species, and it's got like a hollow fiber type of thing. So all the moisture just kind of wicks away to the outside, and these are nice and soft. They are delicate, but they keep your hands warm, they dry really easily, and they don't really soak up the water. So that's one nice thing about them. One family used to make these. I think they started going out of business. But Z-Packs has them, some other places now, Amazon, some other folks have them too. And I don't know, maybe that family sold it off to another relative or something, I don't know, but these are really nice gloves. So there too, buy once, cry once, but they're nice. Hey everybody, I'm gonna start a little bit of dinner here. A little bit of water boiling slowly. I took some snow and tried to melt it down and put a little more in there. But you won't get a whole lot of water when you try to melt snow. You do have to usually put a little bit of water in too, so you don't scorch the pan. So I got my little helper and just came out to visit. So what's up?
Coldness.
Cold. Is it warm in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to cook a little bit of dinner and warm up a little bit. Get some tea going. So that chair you're sitting in, what do you think of it?
It's good.
It's good? Yeah, it's a Helinox camp chair. It's almost like the Chair Zero, but it's got like a square bottom to it. Little wobbly, trying to get in and out, but it's about the same construction almost. And I got a REI insulated little like synthetic quilt backer that I found on clearance one time. And Dutchware's got something similar that you can just slip right on the back of those camp chairs and warms them up a little bit. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. I'm getting a little bit of like lo mein noodles with shrimp going there and boiling up a little bit of water for some tea in the kettle. That's got the burn. I put a little bit of water in there earlier. Keep this from scorching. Might have to do that again. Got the shrimp and the peanuts and the noodles and some of the green onion and carrots and all good stuff. My water pot's starting to boil. I need to set this stir fry off to the side. It's gonna be tea time. That looks like a meal fit enough for a king or a Mikeycat. Look at that sitting on the woodman's outdoor table. Just some pieces of wood, keep it off the ground. Got a nice little mix of peppermint and decaf Earl Grey in here. This will be refreshing. Yeah, I was getting a little too hot next to the stove cooking. So I had to take off a couple layers and might need to take off even another one yet. It is toasty in here. So for dessert, Grandma's paying a visit. Got me some oatmeal raisin cookies. See, because oatmeal's good for your heart, bacon's not. I'm sure a doctor would be like, those cookies aren't good for you. But yeah, I went to the doctor about a month ago, got my yearly checkup and blood work, and they said, oh yeah, your cholesterol's really high. Well, my good cholesterol went up from all the hiking and walking and stuff, but somehow my bad cholesterol went through the roof. Don't know how. I don't think I'm eating anything that much worse, except for some of these cheap little Hormel Completes meals I'd get at work sometimes. Maybe eating stuff that my wife gets from the fast food restaurants doesn't help. I usually try to avoid that, but yeah, gotta be real careful with what you eat. Don't want to wind up like Mega Woods Walker, 50 years old and dead of a heart attack. That's the price of the sacred bacon. It's good stuff. It's a good way to die, but yeah, a little young. I'm getting there. Not quite 50 yet, but won't be too much longer. I'll be down that road. Let's see how this is. That's good. I'm gonna have to remember to take the shells off of the shrimp tails. So I got these little frozen cocktail shrimp, and I get them every once in a while. Make rice with them and just kind of boil up the shrimp in the microwave and get like those little cups of rice, you know, minute rice, Uncle Ben's, whatever, you know, and that stuff was always pretty good when I was working nights. But yeah, I just threw some kindling on that fire, and that stove glowed up nice and red. Get everything cooking real nice again. And then I went and threw one of those green brick compressed logs in there. And those are the ones without the wax in them. They're just compressed sawdust, no wax. You don't want wax in one of these stoves. It'll clog up spark arresters, smoke you out, cause a whole lot of problems. So, it's a word for the wise, voice of experience. It sucked. But yeah, I added a couple of little bits of like honey roasted peanuts in here. It's not bad. So I got one of my cheap little lamps I found on Black Friday. They normally like 20 bucks, and I got it for, I don't know, like 3. So I grabbed a couple of those at a Rural King farm store, and just got these tiny little, you know, buckly things here, you know, that you can tie off your liner to. And I just tied it around that. So That way I don't have to hold it all the time. I don't have to do anything funny with it. It blows around the wind, changes the light, sometimes gets in my eyes, but it's not bad. I was waiting for all the critters to come out here tomorrow. I smell the shrimp. I'll have to get all the shrimp tails out of here. But yeah, this is like the first real snow that we've had this season. And a couple of little dustings of snow into last year. But this, oh, we probably got 6 inches, 8 inches, I don't know, a foot. Somewhere in that range. It kind of depends on the drifts, but... So one of the things that I did when I was setting up the tent, when I had those cyclone stakes, I took the loop that came off of the tent, and I actually had shock cord on the outside of it too, but in this case I decided the way the winds were I wasn't going to use the shock cord. So I took the loop and I actually spun it around like 180, 360 degrees, whatever, to capture that stake, and then it held it a lot better, nice and tight, and just pounded that down with a hammer. Now when I got to the middle of the panels where there wasn't a seam and I had extra, you know, just stakes and stuff that I wanted to tie this all down on the ground, those ones I actually used the shock cord loops just so I could pull it out a little taut there, and you know, it seems to work all right. And I took a few guy lines, tied them out, and you know, make sure this sucker ain't gonna blow away, because I'm not 100% sure how good those stakes are gonna hold in the ground. I mean, they're supposed to if they're spiraled and they're down pretty good, but I mean, I had one hole, put it down, moved it, tried to put it down, it's like, wait a minute, I'm in the same hole, and it just went right in, and it's like, yeah, if it's wet and it's not frozen in there yet, it could pop out. So some of them were straight, some of them were angled. I tried to get them angled as much as possible. So is life. I was a little worried at first, and when I was trying to set everything up and the wind was blowing it all around, yeah, it sucked. I'll be honest, it sucked. You know, frostbite hands, and ooh, you know, touching bare metal and taking the gloves off and everything. But not everything's set up for the most part. Got the stove going in here. It's nice. Getting a warm meal and some hot tea in my belly. That's what makes it worth it. That is the essence of hot tenting, man. Yeah. See, I'm not sure how well that's going to work or not work, but I put that little cookie package on top of my little water kettle there, and figure the heat might help cook that a little bit, warm it up. Cookie in there. But I definitely don't want that directly on a stove, because it would just whoomph, go up in flames. At stovetop, it's probably, I want to say, 600 to 1,000 degrees easily. That sucker will scorch stuff. I tried cooking a pizza and some flatbread one time directly on stoves, and it just scorches it to heck. Water pot, you're going to be limited by the heat of that water, so you'll probably be in the 212 range when that sucker's boiling, and that's good enough for what I'm trying to do. So yeah, I flipped the cookies over. There's a little bit of steam on the bottom side, but you could feel on the other side it wasn't really quite warm yet. I could put them directly on there if I want. Try it this way, see what happens. try these bad boys out. Might be a little soft from all that steam. Not bad looking. So. A little soft. Or steam hit them. I'm gonna warm up nice. Good dessert. Yeah, whenever you sleep in a hot tent, you definitely want to make sure you get the right gear for the weather that you're going to be encountering, and have a safety margin of say 10 or 20 degrees on top of that. So, you know, we got the stove going. That's great for cooking. That's great for lounging around in the evening. Come bedtime, that fire is going to go down. That fire is going to go down every hour, hour and a half, depending how well you got that sucker stocked. And unless you want to wake up every hour to stoke that thing and make it hot, you ain't going to get any sleep doing that. So your best bet is to prepare for a cold night's sleep, figure out what the weather's supposed to be, have a safety margin on top of that, and try to make sure all your gear is nice and dry. Get yourself a nice thermal insulated mat and a ground sheet. It's like Tyvek that you put down first. And then you get, say, like a down mat or a sin mat, anywhere from an R5 to an R9. You know, it's a few inches thick. It's got insulation built into it, so it's not just a hollow, you know, inflatable mattress. It's actually got insulation in it. That's the big difference. If it's just air, it's going to suck all the heat out of you. If it's got insulation in it and a nice R value, it's going to keep you warm. You can get thin pads too, like Thermarest. They got their X-Therm, and I've used that already. It's a little crinkly. It's not too tall. When I slept on it the last time, the next night I came out to use it, it had already deflated a little bit. So I'm not sure if that was air leakage or if that was just contraction of the air in there from the temperature difference. But yeah, you get a nice thick, you know, X-Ped Down Mat 9. That's like 3 or 4 inches thick. Yeah, you're going to stay nice and cozy off of the ground. And get yourself a really nice sleeping bag. Down's really nice. It compacts well, lofts up well. You just got to keep it dry. You can get hydrophobic type of down that's treated. That works a little better than regular down. But if you're going to be out in a bunch of rainstorms and stuff, you probably want to do synthetic. If you're doing, you know, snow and stuff that's really not that wet, just make sure you got a good, you know, compression sack and, you know, stuff that's waterproof to keep that from getting wet, and let that be the last thing that comes out of your bag. And, you know, keep that nice and dry, and you'll have a nice pleasant night's sleep. If you have like an extra quilt, you can throw that on top of you, you know, if you're rolling around or something, or, you know, you need a little additional buffer if the temperatures drop below what you expect. It's always good to have something. So if you had an extra 30 or 40 degree, you know, sleeping bag or hammock top quilt or something like that, you know, you could sprawl that open and put it over your sleeping bag and be good. But you definitely don't want to rely on the stove. I brought some more firewood out. That should last me for a while tonight. That bin is pretty much empty. Got the wood stove going again. I brought out another bin with some sleeping gear. Threw my jackets in there for the moment. Keep stuff off the ground. I'll show you guys my sleep system for the night. I got a big old 4 foot wide, about 7 foot long piece of Reflectix bubble wrap. I kind of fold it over into a 2-foot piece and roll it up, Velcro it together usually. And then on top of that, I got a little Thermarest ridge rest solid foam pad, rolls up. And on top of that, I got a Thermarest Z-Lite SOL, kind of like an accordion egg crate style foam mat. So a combination of those three will probably give me at least an R5, R6 range minimum. So that's not too bad. I got my 5-degree Western Mountaineering, I think that might be the antelope or the caribou, I don't remember which one that is, down sleeping bag. And on top of that, for the moment, I've got a cheap little Academy Sports, it's just basically a sleeping bag liner. It's kind of like sheet material, so that should help extend my temperature range just a little bit, give me maybe an extra 5 or 10 degrees as a buffer. And then I've got a couple of Thermarest camping pillows. They're basically the roll-up ones. They're similar to like a MyPillow, and you can actually get the MyPillows in like a compact travel size now, which is about the same thing as this. So yeah, it's supposed to get down to, I think, 14 degrees tonight, and tomorrow night in the wee hours it's supposed to get down to about 1. So I kind of debated which night I wanted to stay out here, but since I had everything already set up, kids have another snow day tomorrow, it's like, yeah, I'll just try it out. Hey everyone, I'm all nuzzled up. Got Balaclava, my wool hat, and my other pocket hat on, so might be able to get into the hood of the sleeping bag a little, but I don't know how much that'll work. I got my arms outside the sleeping bag for the moment. I'm gonna be watching a little bit of videos and waiting for melatonin to kick in and fall asleep. So I got the stove going and just laying here on the ground on these mats, and back seems alright. I've got a spot midway in my back that always hurts. That's some degradation, but in terms of temperature, everything seems to be fine. Yeah, I can touch all 3 of these layers and bare hand, doesn't feel cold at all, so it's pretty good. I'd say it's like 18 or 16 degrees or something right now outside, and we get down to maybe 14 or so in the morning, but it's not that bad. See you in the morning. Morning everybody, it's 6:15 in the morning here. I'm just getting the wood stove going and try to wake up. I'll tell you what, I had a crappy night's sleep. So temperature says it's 12 degrees outside right now, and it says it feels like 1. And I know earlier when I woke up, brought my hands out and started stoking that fire up, lighting it. Woo-hoo-hoo. Man, it felt like it. So it's definitely been a cold night. I woke up about every hour, just I don't know why, just did. Back hurt sitting on this pad, you know, all night, and so yeah, it's not the best comfortable thing for me, sleeping flat, and then my sinuses, I guess, were all kind of just draining into my throat, and
I think that's partly what woke me up, just kind of like a dry throat sensation, snoring and stuff like that. But I had a balaclava on, so wasn't too bad. This 5-degree bag and the liner bag that I had inside of it worked pretty well. So, I didn't have any chills or anything in terms of that. And kept all my coats and boot liners and stuff down at the foot end of my bag. I had an Nalgene bottle with hot water in there, so that helps, you know, keep the foot section warm, keep all that stuff down there warm too. And then I put my electronic bag and stuff, which had my camera and light and a couple other things in. Battery bank, I had that kind of down near my hip region, and yeah, it probably wasn't comfortable rolling around hitting that, but foot area was really cramped because of all the coats and everything I had down there. One thing I'll say, if you do a winter bag, sometimes you might want to get a larger, you know, longer one, just for the express purpose of putting your coats and gear and stuff down in there to keep it warm in the night. And then that takes up the extra space that extra length would have anyways, and that way, you know, it's not dead air space, and you use, you know, a useful purpose for it. So I think I'm gonna make me some oatmeal, warm myself up a little bit. I might catch a few more Z's asleep. Yeah. Like every hour on the hour. Waking up, so I'm curious what my Fitbit says about my sleep cycles. Got some oatmeal with blueberries going there. Yeah, as if I could really open this one-handed. Sorry folks, gotta put the camera down. So my wife just texted me a while ago. Saw a broken link from her. I'm like, what the heck's this from some strange number? I guess she was trying to send something from her computer, but it said work was suspended again. So, woohoo! That means I can actually get some more shut-eye today, because I know I'll need it. Pretty good. Yeah. Temperature says it's like 67, 68, but it's not too far away from the fire. Maybe like a foot away from the stove on a little board I got in here. It's my cricket mallet. That's this piece of wood I have that I stoke fires with and brought in last night. I'm like, yeah, anything decides to mess with me, that's my weapon. But battery says it's about dying on this. Be curious when this thing quits on me. I'll tell you what, when I went to bed last night, I don't know if it was the pizza combos or if it was just something else, but I had reflux, so I actually had to take some antacid last night before I went to bed. And yeah, I kind of have that feeling this morning like I've got some burning in my system, maybe from having reflux. That's a bad thing about sleeping flat. When I sleep in my bed, I usually sleep at an angle if I can. it helps prevent that and solves some of the sinus issues too. But when I'm camping, I can't get away with that too well. So yeah, keep your batteries warm so they'll fail early when you're doing stuff outdoors. Now that battery I've used for a little while, so it probably was on its last legs, but it just helps, you know, prevent a lot of gear failures. I know yesterday when I was doing footage out in the daytime, I was using my other camera, and I'm on my G7 now. I was on my M50 yesterday with a tripod, and so with that one I had the wireless Rode microphones. I had the little lapel one and then the receiver on the camera, and it worked for a while, but I noticed, like, if I wasn't using it for a while, or if it was getting cold or whatnot, I was always having to, like, turn the dang things back on, turn them off, turn back on, stuff like that, because the lapel one would, like, keep turning off and it wouldn't transmit any audio. And then sometimes just like part way through, all of a sudden audio would just boop, be gone. And I wasn't sure if it was the transmitter or the receiver, because they were both acting kind of goofy yesterday. And they still had their factory charge, so I never charged them up. So there too, it's like, well, didn't know how much charge was really in them. But when I bring them back, they'd act like battery status would say that they looked like they were fine. But yeah, cold weather will definitely wreak havoc on your electronics gear. Same way with other gear that you have. If you've got stoves, sometimes they won't work. That's where wood is king, and liquid fueled stoves are really good in the winter time. But always have a backup, because I did winter training a few years ago, and I had all sorts of gear failures. My boots, first set, had to take them off, set up stuff because I didn't want to get my ground cloth all dirty and muddy and stuff. Well, then it ended up sprinkling on me and got wet feet. So I had wet feet for a bit of the day when we were doing activities. So I had a spare pair of boots and liners and all that stuff later that I switched into. And then lost my headlamp. Had to borrow one from somebody, and luckily I had a little flashlight as backup. And let's see, little catalytic heater I tried using. It didn't work. I don't know if the fuel got watered up or what happened. Little Coleman stove I had wouldn't work, and same thing there, fuel could have been bad or something. So an MSR whisper light, and I had a little Savea stove, and those two worked. So ended up making meals for, I think, about 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, minimum of 5 of us. I don't remember if the instructor was there too, so that would be 6. But yeah, it was a lot of people to cook for on a tiny little stove, but it saved a day. And yeah, it always pays to have backup options. Same way with the tents. Guys I was camping with were going to bring the tents originally. I brought mine along just in case, and it's a good thing I did, because they checked their camp trailer and they didn't have a tent in sight. So I set up my Arctic ovens that time, and they worked out really well. So winter time's harsh. You definitely want to make sure you've got gear, and you've got backups of critical gear, or you've got some fail-safes, you know, because if you're out somewhere far away, something happens, yeah, that could be dangerous. You can hear that old snowplow going by. Just grinding on the road. So I had this little aluminum soda bottle, and originally when I drank it, I thought about using that sometime to make a little distiller pot. So I remember a few years ago watching a guy from Texas, Kenneth Cram. He's a real mellow, laid-back type of guy. I don't think he's doing as many videos these days since the pandemic, but he's up there in age. I would guesstimate he's probably 70-ish. I don't know, maybe the beard fools me. My daughter's friend thought I was 50 because of all this. It's like, no, I'm not that old. But he made a distiller one time using a metal bottle, a little more robust than this one, and you could light a little fire under it. And it had some compression fittings and some copper tubing and whatnot. Then he had like a cool rag to put over that condenser coil to basically take salt water when he was by the ocean, be able to boil it up, and then be able to get clean water out of it. So that way you could have drinking water if you were somewhere where the water wasn't able to be filtered. So I thought, yeah, it'd be kind of a neat idea. So I saved one of those bottles for that. And I got another one in the house. But I actually brought it out here last night in case I needed to go to the bathroom. But yeah, thankfully I didn't have to. But it served another purpose this morning instead. So I put my tea in there while I'm eating my oatmeal on my cup, because I don't really think I want oatmeal bits in my tea. It says it's getting down to 57. Guess I could throw another log on the fire. Oh, that's a smooth move. Truly Metamucil. Pulling out my jackets here and my boot liners, so they stayed nice and cozy, warm and dry down there at the bottom. And I had my Nalgene bottle, which is still fully liquid. It's a little warm. And I say little, it's probably like body temperature at best. So 80s, 90s, whatever. Yeah. Oh, it'd be nice getting that fire going back again. It's so cozy and delightful when that's going. So yeah, since you probably couldn't see all this too well in the dark, here's my Reflectix. It's a big old wide pad. Got my Helinox chair over there with the REI Thermalite quilt on the back. And got my Ridge Rest and my Z-Lite SOL Thermarest pads, and the Western Mountaineering bag. And down here by my knees I got this cheap little Academy liner bag. Add maybe 5 degrees or something comfort rating. There's my boots with their liners put back in. Got the Green Heat compressed sawdust logs without wax. And got my little Tokes 500 milliliter titanium cup. It's just about the right size. And then I got this thinking that's a Pomali maybe. I don't remember. Little tea kettle there. It's titanium. And I always thought, yeah, why would I need a tea kettle? You know, I can just boil water in a cup or a pot, but sometimes it is nice to have it, you know, just a separate container so you can make your water, and then you can just pour it into several containers and, you know, have a little bit of steam coming out to moisten the dry air in the tent. And there's a few good reasons for it. I brought one of these little Completes meals along. I figured if I really got hungry later in the day, if I'm still out here, I could always just pour that out into that titanium frying pan, slash plate and heat that up and have me some turkey and dressing meal. It's all ready to eat, just gotta heat it up. Now that I got breakfast in me, had some warm tea. Tell you what, I'm ready for another nap. I might just have to put another log on the fire just to keep it going longer and hunker down back in my sleeping bag and see what kind of sweet dreams I can have this morning. Maybe I'll dream about my wife. Those birds are funny to listen to. And then they all fly away as a pack. And a minute later, all come back down to the trees again. I think they're afraid of their own shadows. Yeah, I caught an extra hour of sleep. Let's crank that wood stove up. Got back in this comfy sleeping bag. I'm trying to get a proper night's sleep. I don't know why I sleep better in the mornings in the daylight than when I do at night when I'm camping. I guess it's like that in my house too. I don't know if working nights did something to me. I'd always get better sleep in the mornings. I don't know. But yeah, I got like 4.5 hours of sleep for the first drag last night, according to my Fitbit. And then just got an extra hour here, so I don't know. I think grand total's somewhere about 6 hours, maybe. But yeah, I could do better. Having that warm oatmeal in me, and that tea, that helped. Yep. So I think I'm going to probably pack a few things up, and I don't know when I'll take my tent down. I'll figure that one out later. But just gonna enjoy myself and see what the day beholds, and yeah. You can see a bit of that condensation still on the tent. Got a beautiful setup here. Enjoyed it overnight. See the nice band of snow around the outside of the tent. As you come towards the stove, nice circle of melted goodness. But yeah, it sounds like the neighbor's got a snowblower or something going. I hear a bunch of noises out, so it's like 9:30 now in the morning, so I'm gonna get up and start doing my thing. I'm gonna see if I can even drive around anywhere or not today, see how the roads are. One nice thing I will say about this 4-man teepee from Seagod's side, it's probably the smallest teepee that you can get that allows you to actually stand up in it. Now if you're 6'7" or something, might be another story, but for a shorty like me, I can pretty much stand up in this. Now granted, I'm right next to the pole, right near the stove, but bend over a little bit, you know, I can finagle around to put my coats on, and it's not too bad. These little one Tigress tents and stuff, they're like 5 foot. You can't stand up in them. You can kneel. That's about as good as you're gonna get on them. This one, you could probably fit 2 people in comfortably if you're sleeping on the ground with a stove. If you don't have the stove in here, it's a lot more comfortable. You could maybe get 2 short cots in here. I'll find out someday. But Yeah, this is not too bad. I got liners for this one. I didn't put them in yet, but I got a 2-man tent that I set up a few years ago in a snowstorm, and that thing was tight. Had a little inner nest in it, and yeah, I was like less than a foot from the fire, and yeah, it was toasty. I was a little concerned for my safety on that one, and I really had to like scrunch around to get in and out of that thing. So there's something to be said for small tents, you know, but they're not as comfortable as a larger tent. So I'm gonna wrap things up for now, and I may or may not come out here again another night. I'll play it by ear, but I think this is gonna wrap things up. So if you like what you've seen, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and catch you again in the outdoors. As always, thanks for watching.